other semifinal in the Sugar Bowl here. And Grant, I'll let you take the lead on this one in previewing Washington versus Texas here. So what do you got for us?
So I think this, how we said this first game is going to be your classic football game. It's going to be won and lost in the trenches. The big guys are going to get after it. This one, I feel like is going to be a track meet. You look at the outside players for both of these teams. It's the two best set of skilled players in this country.
On turf too, so there's not going to be any issues with the
correct
with the playing surface.
And that speedy New Orleans Superdome, and two great play callers, and Sark and Coach Kalen DeBoer. Thank you, and at Washington. And to me, Dylan, this game's going to come down to Texas executing in the red zone. I read a stat earlier this week. They only scored touchdowns in 44% of their red zone drives this year.
Wow.
That'll win you games in the Big 12, but not against Washington and not against Michael Penix Jr. and Rome Odunze and these cats that Washington has. I understand they're Huskies, but those cats are special up there, because Washington, they're not going to quit. They've been in so many close games this year. They know how to win close games. And if Texas, they come out early, they get a hot start, but they're kicking field goals. If it's 6-0 or 9-0, something like that, Washington is not going to fold under pressure at all. It could kind of be like, when Philadelphia played San Francisco this year. And, people forget these teams met last year in the Alamo Bowl, and Washington got the better of Texas, and they won. And I really do worry that for Texas's mindset in this game, for this next month, people are going to say, oh, hey, you had a great signing class. We're building that 5-star culture. Sweat won the Outland Trophy for best interior offensive lineman. I really do worry about Texas's psyche. People are saying, hey, Texas is back. Are they mentally going to be prepared for a dogfight in this game? Are they thinking, you know what? Hey, we're playing this fast team from Washington. They can't match the physicality that we have up front, and we should be able to blow through these guys. That's not going to happen. I worry about Texas's mindset. And I will say this in this game. There will not be many punts because these coaches are going to be aggressive, and you have 4 plays to get 10 yards. Once you cross midfield, if I'm Sark or, Caden, I'm going for it. 4th down. We're going to be aggressive. Points are going to be scored in this game. We can't give our opponents any extra possessions because, hey, we're going to punt or do something like that. And for your Washington, the one thing I worry about is you are smaller on the defensive side, and your offensive line's not as big and physical as Texas is. And in that first game, Oregon, dominated in the trenches. But Dan Lanning and his decisions kind of gave that game away. If Washington, just like how I said with Michigan, they have to move their defensive linemen. They have to create opportunities for their front to get after Quinn Ewers, because if they can't, and he's got a clean pocket all day, Texas is going to win this thing. And if they can't keep Michael Penix upright and he doesn't have time to get his ball to these skilled players on the edge, it could be a long day for the Huskies. They're kind of like the Miami Dolphins with college football. They got a lefty slinging the ball out there to these fast wide receivers, but can the big guys up front, can they give him time to let him do his magic? So I'm expecting a track meet, and it's going to come, like I said, to start off, it's going to come down to scoring touchdowns in the red zone. And, also, I'm going to see if Sark's got something up his sleeve here. He's one of the more creative play callers in college football. With a month off and to face his old school where he got his first start as a head coach, what does Sark have up his sleeve?
Yeah, Grant, you nailed that. I think you may have stolen my notes here, but I said red zone execution is going to be key. Another key that I think is as high-powered as these offenses are through the air, I think it's going to come down to who's going to be able to run the ball best, because I think these both quarterbacks, Penix and Quinn Ewers, they aren't known to utilize their legs, but when they have to, they can do it.
They can.
Open up play action pass more and see if they can get a shot play. But Oregon or Washington has been Texas is 4.5-point favorites in this game. Oregon and Washington, after they beat Oregon, they lumped to the Pac-12 title game, had a lot of close games, but they found ways to pull it out. And then they were 9.5-point underdogs against Oregon. And what'd they do? They beat the brakes off Oregon.
I said they'd lose.
Yep, Grant said they'd lose. Ethan said they'd lose. I said they would lose, but I thought they would
cover the 9.5.
Yes. So, and I think another thing that isn't really talked about in this game is that Kalen DeBoer has been a head coach for a long time, and it hasn't been at this level, but he's had to make those tough decisions in the game. He has that experience. That means something. What that means, I don't know, but I mean, it showed in both the times they played Washington or Oregon, where especially in the Pac-12 title game, where it felt like Dan Lanning overcomplicated everything and they came out a little bit flat. They just looked unprepared. And Dan Lanning even said it that I did a bad job of preparing this game. We didn't have a good game plan. So I think there's going to be a critical spot in this game. This is going to be a track meet. There's going to be a critical spot in this game where the head coaches are going to have to make a tough choice. And Kalen DeBoer has that experience. I think Kalen, where Sark, he's been a head coach before, but a little bit of a skewed, and I mean some of that was the situations he was in because he inherited a mess at Washington. His troubles at USC are well documented. We're not going to get into that, but I think Sark is on his way to becoming a really good head coach, and we've seen it in his 3 years that he's been in Texas, how he's gone or how much he has improved in the way he's built this roster to get them to where they've been. But I think we've also seen in games where Sark has panicked a little bit and see what happens, where I think if Texas gets out to a big lead, Sark is a little bit more where he's going to keep sticking with the game plan and keep throwing the ball, which you could deal with drops, giving turnovers, yada, 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 and allowing Washington to get back into the game. Where I think Kalen DeBoer is more, once they get the lead, he's going to make more thought-out decisions. He's going to coach to win the game rather than running his offense, because that's what they do.
And running the score up, yeah.
And in the end, I think that's going to be, I think that could potentially be the difference. So, Grant, what is your prediction here for this game? Who's going to be playing Michigan in that national title game?
It's going to be the University of Texas, because another one thing I didn't talk about was Dylan, to your point, I think Sark is going to make that mistake. I think he's going to rely on his big physical offensive line, but also that running back room Texas has. I understand Jonathan Brooks has a torn ACL, but that running back room comes at you 3 to 4 deep. I think they're going to slowly lean on this Washington front, and then it's going to create some big plays later on for Adonai Mitchell and Xavier Worthy. So I like Texas to win a track meet 38-30.
Ooh, okay. All right, Grant has Texas 38-30. And, like I said, I trust Kalen DeBoer more than I trust Sark. And I think that's what it's going to come down to, one or two coaching decisions. I trust Kalen DeBoer to not panic. I expect him to trust him to make the right decision, make the right in-game adjustments that he has to make. And I think that's going to be the difference. And also, I think this is going to be a track meet. I, too, have the winner scoring 38 points. But I have Washington playing Michigan in the national title, and Washington wins 38-33.